Hi guys, welcome to Adam McKola TV. I'm Adam and this is the Manchester United season preview for 2017-18. I'm walking around Old Trafford currently on Sir Matt Busby Way, where on the opening day of the Premier League season, this place will be absolutely chock-a-block for the beginning of Jose Mourinho's second campaign as Manchester United manager. It's an eagerly anticipated campaign for Manchester United after winning the Europa League last season and the EFL Cup and returning to Champions League football. Manchester United will be back in the big time and will be looking to get back to winning ways in the Premier League. Can we get our 21st title? In this season preview on Adam McKola TV, I will take you through the lot. The Premier League, our new signings, how did pre-season go down, our expectations for the new season, and whether we can expect to see some younger players break through this season at Manchester United. Let's go. First things first, new signings. Manchester United have made 3 of them, with a little of the window still remaining. Those 3 signings, the first one through the door was Victor Lindelof. Now, it was a much needed centre half that Manchester United needed. We've looked poor in defence, we've looked frail at times, and of course we've lacked that depth as well, with injuries to Smalling, Jones, and of course Marcus Rojo quite regularly too. So United needed to bring someone in at the back. We were linked with Michael Keane, but we ended up signing Victor Lindelof from Benfica for around £31 million. Now, in pre-season, he hasn't been great, I'll be honest with you. He's shown some good signs, but also he's had a few bad games as well. The game against Real Madrid in the pre-season, he was pretty poor and gave away a penalty for a rash challenge. But if we were to rush to judgment on Vidic and Evra, then we would have called them failures at Manchester United, and they went on to become club legends and win European Cups. I think Victor Lindelof has had to deal with changing back fours, changing back fives, changing goalkeepers behind him, changing central defensive midfielders in front of him, sometimes a midfield 2, sometimes a midfield 3. And I think he has had to deal with a lot of changes in that defence, constantly changing back 3s, back 5s, different central defensive midfielders in front of him, changing midfield 2s, midfield 3s. So we have to give him time to settle. We have to give him the opportunity to play alongside the same centre-half partner, with the same goalkeeper behind him, and with Nemanja Matic in front of him as well. We have to give him time before we do rush out and judge him, but of course, it does have it all to prove. Our second signing of the summer was, of course, Romelu Lukaku, who came in for £75 million. Now, it did look like Manchester United were going to sign Alvaro Morata and Chelsea were going to sign Romelu Lukaku, but we did a striker swap and United ended up with Romelu Lukaku. Now, if I could have handpicked a number 9 to replace Zlatan Ibrahimovic at the start of the summer, Romelu Lukaku would have been high on the top of my list. I wanted him last summer. I remember being outside Old Trafford and saying to the BBC Sport that I want Romelu Lukaku here at Old Trafford. He's ended up here this summer and he's coming as our big number 9. And I think this is an improvement on Zlatan Ibrahimovic. Yes, Zlatan Ibrahimovic in his peak was an absolutely fantastic striker, but I think a 24-year-old Romelu Lukaku ahead of a 36-year-old Zlatan Ibrahimovic is a lot better up front for United. The only question marks that we do have over Romelu Lukaku is whether he can do it in Europe, but he's got players around him, the Pogba, Mkhitaryan, Herrera, Martial, etc, that can help him and push him onto that Champions League level. Look, he's still young, he's got one of the best goal scoring records around in Europe, and he's still going to improve at Manchester United. Seeing him grab a goal in that UEFA Super Cup final against Real Madrid as well, despite the sitter that he missed, was great to see that. In his first competitive game for Manchester United, he got a goal against the European champions. That would have been a big confidence booster for Romelu Lukaku heading into his first season of Champions League football. I think in the Premier League though, is guaranteed goals, and that's exactly what we need. People call him a flat track bully. Imagine if we had a flat track bully here at Old Trafford last season. We would have won the league. Our third signing of the summer was Nemanja Matic, and this could be the most shrewd signing of the summer for United. Look, we know what he brings to the table. He's won 2 league titles at Chelsea. He's 29 years old now. He's experienced central defensive midfielder, something we've been crying out for with Michael Carrick beginning to lose his legs. So this is a signing that Manchester United very much needed. Now, a lot of people are saying, £40 million? Why have United spent so much on Nemanja Matic? I ask people, how much do you think Nemanja Matic is worth? And they'll say 30, £35 million. So you're all complaining about United overpaying for £5 million, £10 million? Really? When we've signed a player from one of our rivals, one of our big rivals, from the Premier League champions. He played 30 out of 38 games for Chelsea from the start in the Premier League last season, and that was for the Premier League champions. We've already seen in his first 2 appearances for the club against Sampdoria and Real Madrid what he can bring to the team, and that's without a pre-season as well. I think alongside Herrera and Pogba, Matic comes in and gives us some extremely great balance. Look, Romelu Lukaku was a fantastic signing, but I think Nemanja Matic could be United's signing of the summer. Last season we had a number 9 in Zlatan, so we've gone out and replaced him. But last season we didn't have a quality central defensive midfielder because of, obviously, Michael Carrick's age now. He can't play every game. So bringing in Nemanja Matic for me has been United's signing of the summer, and you could tell it was one that Jose Mourinho really wanted to make. Thank God he did. I'd give our summer transfer window a 7 out of 10 so far with these 3 signings. Jose Mourinho has made it clear he wants one more, and if he gets that one more, maybe that will push it up to an 8 or a 9. But I think in Lukaku and Matic, we've got 2 fantastic signings who are Premier League ready, and in Victor Lindelof, we've got a potentially very, very good centre-half, and we know Jose Mourinho knows how to sign those. When you look at Eric Bailly, he's cut the mustard. So hopefully Victor Lindelof will follow in his footsteps. But 7 out of 10 for United summer so far, in my opinion. So pre-season for Manchester United saw us travel out to America, kicking off with games against the MLS's LA Galaxy and Real Salt Lake City, before more difficult games against Manchester City, Real Madrid and Barcelona, before we left the States and of course took on Valerenga, Sampdoria, before the UEFA Super Cup final against the European champions of Real Madrid. So compared to last summer's trip to Asia, where it was a big miserable failure for Manchester United. We were supposed to play Manchester City in the first overseas Manchester derby at the Bird's Nest, and it couldn't go ahead because of the disgraceful pitch. But thankfully United had much better preparations over in the States and continuing onto Europe as well. So much better for Jose Mourinho's Manchester United in terms of their pre-season. The results were okay too. We won all of our games apart from obviously a draw against Real Madrid, which saw us win 2-1 in one of the worst penalty shootouts ever, and a 1-0 defeat against Barcelona where Neymar scored his last goal for the Catalan Giants. So we did pretty well in pre-season, to be fair, and I think, look, the results don't matter. What matters is the progression that the teams make, and I think we could see improvements from Manchester United last season. There was a bit more cutting edge, a bit more pace in the side. We experimented with a back 5/back 3, whatever you want to call it, and of course continued to play that 4-3-3 as well. But we did see more balance in the side once Nemanja Matic came into the fold for that Sampdoria game. The only negative for pre-season, in my opinion, was the fact that Nemanja Matic didn't get a full pre-season. Of course, his performances against Sampdoria and Real Madrid have shown, did he really need a full pre-season? I mean, he's come in and looked great, but Jose Mourinho would have rathered him have a full pre-season instead of, you know, coming in late at the end of the pre-season for Manchester United, and then of course having to pick it up from there. So that's probably the only negative. And going into the UEFA Super Cup final, I was very, very confident that Manchester United could actually do it, which shows how well our pre-season did go. I think our pre-season went fantastically well, and going into the UEFA Super Cup final against back-to-back European champions, I was thinking, we can do this. Obviously, it didn't go to plan, and United were beaten comfortably by Real Madrid in the end, despite the fact we did have our chances. But that shows you how well our pre-season went, and I think we're in great shape going into the new season. With an almost fully fit squad as well. Touch wood, no more injuries, but only Rojo, Shaw and Young are out at the moment. So we've got an almost fully fit squad. Nemanja Matic, Lukaku, Lindelof, very good signings, very good pre-season as well. The preparations went good, the games went good, the travelling was all good. You hear Jose Mourinho's buzzing. So I'm buzzing for this coming season now, and I think we've got no complaints from the pre-season. Yes, arguably we would have had one more player in, but apart from that, pre-season has been perfect, and Manchester United, Jose Mourinho, can't complain going into the new Premier League campaign. The Premier League for Manchester United last season was ruined by the fact that we couldn't take our chances here at Old Trafford. We simply missed far too many draws against the likes of Burnley, Stoke, West Ham, even against Arsenal at home when we should have won, and we just didn't pick up all 3 points. There were countless times in Manchester United's poor finishing cost us, and we need to put that right this season. If we put that right this season, then I believe we can challenge for the league. I think we've made improvements in the right areas, but I do think to challenge in the league, to turn these draws into wins here at Old Trafford, we need the likes of Anthony Martial, Marcus Rashford, Juan Mata, Henrik Mkhitaryan, Paul Pogba chipping in with more goals. I have no doubt that Romelu Lukaku will score goals here in the Premier League for Manchester United. He's a proven striker in the Premier League. He's always been there or thereabouts in terms of the top goal scorers, and at a place where he will get more opportunities, you'd expect him to score as much, if not more goals. So I think it's the contribution from the players around him that will be the most important to Manchester United's success here in the Premier League at Old Trafford. But really hoping that we do that, because it's been too long, man. Manchester United not even challenging for the league title for 4 seasons is just wrong, and that needs to change. It's as simple as that. We need to challenge for the league title this season. We need to keep pushing forward, of course, and we need to get back to where we belong, close to the top of the table. Look, if we didn't finish top this season, I wouldn't be disappointed, as long as we made a battle of the Premier League. That has to be the main thing for Manchester United, the main target this season. Yes, we're in the Champions League and we want to stay in the Champions League for as long as possible, and next season be in the Champions League again. But the only way we can do that is by being successful in the Premier League and winning our games in the Premier League, and that starts here at Old Trafford. Turn this place into a fortress again instead of a drawtress, as it was often called last season, and we'll go close to being Premier League champions. I think the signing of Nemanja Matic could be key as well, because last season we didn't do great in the big games. Obviously we got spanked at Chelsea, we drew 0-0 at Anfield, we drew at the Etihad. We weren't good enough in those away games against the bigger sides. I think the arrival of Nemanja Matic, someone that will bring us balance in that midfield, someone that will allow us to either play a midfield 2 or a midfield 3, will really boost us in those big games, because we do need that. But like I said, take our chances. We've got the players here. That's the frustrating thing. We've got so much talent here in this side. When you look at it from the back to the front, David De Gea, Eric Bailly, Marcus Rojo last season was an absolute beast. Valencia at right back's one of the best right backs about. Luke Shaw could be the best left back about if he finds his feet again. In centre of midfield, Matic, Pogba, Herrera. Is there a better midfield 3 in the Premier League than that? I'm not quite sure. And then further forward, you look at the likes of Mkhitaryan, Martial, Marcus Rashford, Romelu Lukaku, Juan Mata. When you look at all those players, how can they not bring goals to this team? They have to be guaranteed goals for Manchester United, because they are without doubt quality players, but now they have to step up. They have to push on. The EFL Cup was great, the Europa League was great, but what Manchester United fans really want is that Premier League trophy back. And with those guys firing on all cylinders consistently, turning this place into a fortress, Manchester United will be able to do that. So I think this coming season, 2017-18, our target has to be 1st to 3rd. Now, I'm going to be confident and say, look, Jose Mourinho always wins the league in his 2nd season. Chelsea in his 1st spell there, in his 2nd spell there as well. Real Madrid, Inter Milan, Porto. He always wins the league title in his 2nd season. He will know just what he needs to do to win his league title. And I think he can help us. It's been too long for Manchester United and Mourinho not to have well, Mourinho had one more recently, but it's been too long for Manchester United not to have a league title under their belts, and we need to get back to winning ways in the Premier League, and we need to be doing that ASAP. Of course, Champions League's great, the FA Cup's great, but I really miss winning the Premier League. Manchester United fans really miss winning the Premier League, and it's been far too long. I think 1st to 3rd has to be the reasonable target. Of course, if we finish 2nd or 3rd and we've battled for the title, then that will be better. That will be an improvement on last season. But I'm going to say we're going to win it. Fuck it. Let's just go out there and say Jose Mourinho's 2nd season syndrome's going to kick in again and United are going to win the Premier League. But the target has to be 1st to 3rd. So Champions League football is back here at Old Trafford. I cannot wait to hear that theme music. Oh man, I can't wait to hear it back here at Old Trafford under the floodlights with that big you know, the football looking thing shaking around in the centre circle with the music on, with the players lined up. I cannot wait to hear that Champions League music. Now look, it'd be lovely if we could win the Champions League, but I think the UEFA Super Cup final against Real Madrid has shown that we are a little bit behind the European champions at this moment in time. Like I said when we spoke about the Premier League, the target has to be Premier League this season. We have to target that title. The Premier League is our bread and butter. We know this. We have to target that. But there's no reason why Manchester United can't do well in the Champions League. We have got a very, very big squad. We have got some players, particularly that midfield, Pogba, Matic, who are experienced in the Champions League. Little bit of inexperience up top, which will probably, you know, not work out great for Manchester United. But I'm hoping Romelu Lukaku can settle into being a Champions League striker. I'm hoping Marcus Rashford can take to Champions League football just like he has taken to Europa League and Premier League football. Because if that happens, then it will be very difficult for teams coming up against us. No teams, no matter who they are, will want to draw Manchester United and Jose Mourinho, because they know Manchester United have the badge, have the history, have the stadium, have the fans to be able to get a result against any side. And we've also got a manager in Jose Mourinho who is tactically astute, who knows how to win things. And whenever he's won the Champions League, he's done it with lesser sides. He's managed Chelsea, Real Madrid, but he's won it with Inter Milan and Porto. So that shows you Jose Mourinho doesn't necessarily need the best team in Europe to win the Champions League. And like I say, nobody will want to draw Manchester United. Reasonably, I think last 16, last 8 is probably the best we can hope for at this moment in time. Maybe, you know, but when United get to the last 16, last 8, we're not going to be thinking, it'll be all right if we go out here, because we're not expected to win it. We'll be wanting to win it, and that's the mentality of this club. But like I said, the Premier League has to be a priority. We have to aim to be in the Champions League again next season. But whatever competition Manchester United are in, Manchester United will want to win it. And the Champions League will be another one of those competitions. We've got a very, very big squad. And with Zlatan Ibrahimovic coming back into the fold in December, January, who knows, maybe he could provide that big, big lift which could help Manchester United push on if we're still fighting in 4 competitions, in the League Cup, FA Cup, Premier League, Champions League. The addition of someone like Zlatan could give the fans, the team, the manager, the whole place a big boost going into the second half of the season. So you never know, but the target has to be last 8. The cup competitions were very good to Manchester United last season. Obviously winning the EFL Cup and winning the Europa League helped us into the Champions League, and it gave us that little bit of glory that we needed throughout the season. Not the trophies we really, really desire, and not at the top of our priority, but trophies nevertheless. And some teams never ever get to taste those kind of things. So it was a positive season last season in terms of the silverware that Manchester United picked up. But this season, going into the FA Cup and the League Cup, do they take on as much priority for Manchester United? Probably not. But we have got a huge squad, and with a huge squad, we've got players that we wanted to fight for their spots, fight for a place in the first 11, fight for a place in that Premier League 11 and Champions League 11, and they'll have to use the cup competitions to do that. So these cup competitions, the EFL Cup, the FA Cup, could take on extra significance again in terms of what it means to some of those squad players. But having said that, we know that Jose Mourinho loves the EFL Cup. He likes to get the League Cup under his belt early doors, just to give him an extra confidence booster going into the remainder of the season. And maybe we could enjoy a little bit of luck in that EFL Cup again. But like I said, the cup competitions require a lot of luck in terms of matches, draws, you know, results, decisions, injuries, etc, etc. And United have a big enough squad to be able to challenge on all 4 fronts. Whether we do or not remains to be seen. But I wouldn't be surprised to see United lift another trophy again. Obviously, I prefer it to be the FA Cup. But even if it is the EFL Cup coming in February, March, ahead of the remainder of the season, it could be the confidence booster that Man United need going into a title challenge. We hope anyway. Now, over the last couple of seasons, we've saw the likes of Marcus Rashford break through at Manchester United, and that has been absolutely fantastic to watch. And could we see any similar things happening this season? Now, I'm going to be honest with you and say it is very, very unlikely. Obviously, someone like Timothy Fosu-Mensah has gone out on loan from Manchester United to Crystal Palace, so he's unlikely to get a big opportunity and really cement a place for him in this first team this season. So then you're looking at the likes of Andreas Pereira. Axel Tuanzebe, Joel Pereira. And I think those are the three that will be on the fringes for Manchester United this season, barring disastrous injuries to the first team. I think you're looking at Joel Pereira, who I think is probably the best academy goalkeeper in the world. You're looking at Axel Tuanzebe, who has fantastic potential at centre-half. And then you're looking at Andreas Pereira, who went away on loan at Granada last season, came back to Manchester United, despite the fact Granada got relegated, and he's looking like he's ready to fight for a spot. What's been interesting is as well that Jose Mourinho has played him in the 6, in the 8, and further forward as well, so he can occupy different positions, which Jose Mourinho will absolutely love. And the penny seems to have dropped with Andreas Pereira. We heard stories about him and Adnan Januzaj spending an under-23s game trying to score from a corner, and obviously that doesn't say great things for the under-23s level and the reserves level, because obviously why would the best players be doing that? Because they're bored of that level of football. But it was a sign that they kind of had an arrogance about them, and not a good arrogance. And unfortunately, Adnan Januzaj has ended up elsewhere. Andreas Pereira has really knuckled down, and it looks like the penny has dropped with him. And if that is the case and he gets opportunities here, I think he's one of those young players who could absolutely kill it for Manchester United if given the opportunity. But like I said though, Jose Mourinho isn't like Louis van Gaal. He isn't going to hand out debuts left, right and centre. And I think it is just those three, Joel Pereira, Axel Tuanzebe and Andreas Pereira, that have a chance for Manchester United this season. You'd like to think we'd be involved in a Premier League title race throughout the campaign, and we won't need to see anything like we saw at Crystal Palace. So yeah, I can't see a huge influx of youth players into this first team, and I think it's those three that will be knocking on the door of that first team squad. So there you have it. That is my season preview of 2017-18. Look, it may be too early for Manchester United to do the bits in the Champions League, but I've got a strong feeling that United could be going back to Premier League glory this season. It's going to be a difficult fight between the blue bit of Manchester. I was going to say half, definitely not half. The blue bit of Manchester and of course the champions Chelsea. But Conte looks under pressure. Have Chelsea made enough improvements in the summer, and how will they react to Champions League football with their squad? Of course, Manchester City are Manchester City, and I think Manchester United will battle them all the way for the Premier League this season, and hopefully it's the red, black and white ribbons that are sitting on that Premier League trophy come the end of the campaign. It's going to be a difficult season, it's going to be a long season, it's going to be another roller coaster of emotions, but it should end in United lifting trophies again. It usually does. Guys, I've been Adam McKola. You guys have been legends for watching this season preview on Adam McKola TV. Make sure you hit that like button as well. I'll have you covered on all things Manchester United, football and so much more on Adam McKola TV. So make sure you hit that like button. Get your comments in below. What are your predictions for the new campaign? And of course, subscribe as well. I'm Adam McKola. I'm out of here.